Excited to be 2-0. Really good football game for our team last week. Team effort, offense, defense, special teams. Still a lot of things that we got to clean up, get better at, but started to see what we expect out of our guys with our standards and trying to exceed it. So very excited about where we're at, and we just got to keep getting better.
Coach, you mentioned after the first game of the season, getting the win is what's most important. I assume that's how you feel after the second game, but having to be against an opponent that handled you the year before, how much does that do for the coaching staff and the players to know that they're definitely on the right path of making the improvements?
Again, last year's last year, this year's new team. We're different. I got asked this question after the game about revenge, anything like that. That's not the case. I ask our guys to have a why of why they play, but I don't tell them what their why is. And if some of them used it as a motivation, then great. But this year's about us, and what we're doing this year is a new team.
Could you get involved in coaching to help transform kids' lives and make an impact in them and show them what they can be? Seeing how excited these kids are in the locker room after a win against UMass, just on a personal level, how does that move you?
Oh, it's awesome. Again, we talk about it a lot. Getting a win, we're going to celebrate them. If they're ugly, if they're great, if it's just a perfect win, whatever, we're going to celebrate them because they're hard to get. And you put so much work into it. Guys have 365 days a year to actually put their product on the field 12 times, guaranteed. So anytime we win a football game, we're going to be excited about it.
Coach, we all know there's a hurricane bearing down on the coast, and Clemson's kind of right in that area. Has there been any discussions at all about this game, whether it's going to be played, contingency plans being made, or what's the word that you're hearing about being able to play this game?
Well, in our building, we control what we can control, and obviously a hurricane is uncontrollable for us, so we're not talking about that right now. We leave that to administration, and I'm sure they'll do a great job with telling us, communicating with us what we need to do. But right now, we're not worried about that. We're getting ready to play a game in Clemson on Saturday. They're more than welcome to come to Paulson if they want to.
The follow-up to that, it seems like if the game is played, it's going to be in some pretty extreme conditions. Is that something that you try to prepare for? Or, a lot of people have played in the rain before. Do you take any precautions or any extra steps when it might be windier than usual and even more of a downpour than usual?
Well, we put a high premium on ball security around here anyway, and in South Georgia we run into weather issues all the time, so it's something that we're used to with rain and things like that. We just got to understand that when we get in those type of games, we got to make sure that we're smart with the football.
And as far as the coaching staff is approaching this game prep, you have a first game that you're expected to win and you take care of business, a second game that a lot of people thought might be a toss-up, and I think it surprised a lot of people who hadn't been paying attention to Georgia Southern. Now you've got a game where you're definitely the underdog. Does that change the message or how you get people riled up for the game?
Again, being an ACC opponent, being a top, number 2 ranked team in the country, obviously there's a lot of excitement about that, but we don't approach games any differently. We have our plan to win, and that's what we do every week. We know that we have a process. We know what we need to do to try to go win a football game. So we're not going to change that. Obviously we'll get excited about this game, but we're going to get excited about every game, and we're going to go do what we try to do and make sure that we're working toward our plan to win.
This past week, a lot of guys that weren't on the stat sheet in the week before or hadn't been on there before. Colby Ransom getting the first touchdown, a couple other guys getting their first touches. How exciting is it for you as a coach to see, multiple guys get touches and have an impact on the game?
Oh, it's great because this is a team game, and we had several guys step up that haven't had the opportunity to step up before, and they were asked to, and they rose to the challenge. So that's really big for us, and I think that was big for the football team. We always talk about next man up around here, and that was the opportunity, and those guys made the most of it. Colby Ransom, I'm very proud of. Malik Murray, Cam Brown. Those are 3 that really jump out to me right there that made big plays in the game, and really probably wasn't expecting to be in the game to make those plays.
Coach, you've got about 2 weeks of game film now to look at this Clemson team. I think I know what the answer is here, but when you look at them, what do you see?
Really good football team. I mean, they're good players all over the place, and but again, as I said, this season's about us, and we got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And if they end up being faster, if they end up being stronger, if they end up being more athletic, we just got to go play as hard as we can play and put our best product on the field and stick to the plan to win.
In terms, people at home who might not know football terminology can understand, Clemson's got one of the best defensive lines in the country. This is going to be a tough game out there for Shai. What's he got to do to stay on his feet?
Well, I think it's a tough football game, period. Offensive line's got to block them. And, if they go out and block them, then it makes it a little bit easier on Shai, and it makes it a little bit easier for our running backs. But we got to just go out and do what we do. We're a blue-collar football team. We got to make sure that we go out and try to outwork them. And, I wouldn't put it just on one guy. I mean, our whole team's got to step up. If we want to win this game, our whole team's got to step up. We got to get better from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 now.
You keep talking about things that we can control, and you're one of the least penalized teams in the country through two weeks. What has led to that, and how proud are you of that?
Very proud. I think that shows that we have grown up as a football team, more mature. It's part of our plan to win. We talk about Eagles not beating Eagles, and a lot of that has to do with pre- and post-snap penalties. Those are the type of penalties that we can control. Technique, fundamentals, playing hard, the in-between penalties that happen between snap and whistle, sometimes that's hard to control. But we got to play with good technique. But we definitely can control pre and post snap, and our guys have done a really good job, and we implement that every day at practice. If a pre or post snap penalty happens, there's immediate discipline, there's immediate accountability. So the guys have it in their head. They understand that we got to make sure we stay away from it.